Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the El Cajon City Council meeting. The meeting is now called to order, and I'd like to ask the city clerk to please call the roll.
All council members present.
Would you then stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a moment of silence? And in this moment of silence, I'd like to remember Dr. Richard Butcher, who is the husband of Vicki Butcher, who many of us know, and Dr. Butcher recently passed on, and I would like to acknowledge him. Thank you very much. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The city clerk has posted orders of adjournment of the January 24th, 2017 meetings and the agenda of the February 14th, 2017 meeting in accordance with state law and council authority successor agency to the redevelopment agency policy. Before we get started, I'd like to acknowledge Joan Shoemaker. Joan, are you here? I saw you here before. Oh, there you are. Joan is our former mayor, and we welcome you here. Thank you very much for coming. All right, on today's agenda, we have a presentation on the city's teen coalition. I'd like to ask the council down to join me below. And Susie Lowe, are you here? Susie's a Recreation Services Supervisor, and she's going to tell us about the Teen Coalition. And here they are. Hi. Hi. Come on. Welcome. Hi. Hi. Welcome. Hi. And hi, Susie. Good. Oh, guys, stand here in front of us. Yeah.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor and Council members. I'm Susie Lowe with the City of El Cajon Recreation Department, and each year I get such a pleasure and a privilege of being the staff liaison for the city's Teen Coalition. And we are here to introduce ourselves today and witness government in action. And how the Teen Coalition works, it's an opportunity to be a part of a group that develops skills in leadership. It learns about our community. We discuss important issues regarding to teens, and we become involved in community service. Applications for the 2016-17 term were accepted in late 2016, and from those who either reside in the city limits or attend a school within the city limits, either a high school or a middle school within the city limits. We received 10 applications, and all 10 were selected. Obviously, we have a little bit of a limited number. I have a couple that are out sick and others that have had school commitments today, so we have 5 here to introduce themselves today. So at this point, I would like to turn the presentation over to this year's chair, Lily Bell, and our co-chair, Precious Yulil, who will discuss our activities.
Hello. The Teen Coalition will meet each month at Renette Park Community Center. In December, we participated in a team building exercise. We are dedicated to serving the community through volunteering, and so far we have participated in Haunt Fest, the Mother Goose Parade, and helped the El Cajon Police Department in their storefront. We will also be participating in the City of El Cajon's annual dance recital, Arbor Day, America on Main Street, Library Fiesta, and the grand opening of the Ronald Reagan Event Center. The City of El Cajon Teen Coalition will also continue to sponsor the Youth of the Year Award, as it further helps put a spotlight on the teens that go above and beyond serving their community. I joined Teen Coalition to better know and support the city I grew up in.
Hello, my name is Precious Yulil. I'm a freshman at Grossmont High School. The Teen Coalition application requested remarks regarding perceived critical issues facing teens in the community. In developing our project, we held 2 planning meetings focusing on our project for the year. Our project will encompass linking teens to service organizations where they can gain service hours for high school graduation requirements and prepare for college entrance applications, as well as giving back to the community. We are looking to assist in highlighting the positive attributes and show how El Cajon is the valley of opportunity. Personally, I joined Teen Coalition to be a part of the community and become more involved. At this time, I would like for other members to introduce themselves and discuss why they joined Teen Coalition and what they look forward to this year in giving back to the community and why they appreciate El Cajon.
My name is Cajon Thorpe, and I'm a proud member of the El Cajon Teen Coalition. I love being a part of this team because it gives me the opportunity to serve the great community of El Cajon while developing my teamwork and leadership skills. The benefits of this program are endless, and with each activity, event, and meeting, I feel like we are collaborating as a team to partake in something memorable for our city. I'm very grateful to be proud of this team and hope to help inspire and motivate other El Cajon teens and members of this community.
Good afternoon. My name is Eric Ayala. I am 14. I go to Emerald Middle School. I joined Teen Coalition because I loved the old El Cajon when I was little and innocent. I miss the old secure feeling. I want to make other people feel that again. My favorite thing about El Cajon is how either bad things or good things happen, we always stand united.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Alvin Mwangi. I am 14 years old. I also go to Emerald Middle School with Eric. I joined Teen Coalition last year, and I joined for the same reason this year, to make my community better since I grew up here throughout all my life. And what I love most about El Cajon is even though we age a lot and we are pretty old, we always find ways to benefit El Cajon. And before we conclude our presentation, I just want, as Lily said, we are hosting Youth of the Year Awards this year, and Teen Coalition and myself highly recommend you guys, when you leave today, to pick up one of these documents to nominate who you think a teen in the community has making a difference. Thank you.
Yes, like Alvin said, we are taking applications for our Youth of the Year. So if you do know a youth that's either in middle school or high school that lives within the city limits or attends a school within the city limits, we are accepting applications. The Teen Coalition members are not eligible. They actually do the selection, so we are in the process of selecting. So I'd like to thank my members and thank council for the opportunity to come meet you guys today.
Well, congratulations, everybody. Thank you for coming. Let's have a big round of applause for them, please. Yeah, if you guys could come and make a line to these really old council members like to say hello to you. If you're old at 14, come by and shake everybody's head, okay? All right, let's do it this way. Okay. Thanks again. Congratulations. Thanks. Good job. I don't know about you. Do you remember being that well-spoken or knowing anybody who was that well-spoken at 14? We were lucky if we had our shirts on inside out here. All right, thanks. Let's go on. I will. Okay. All right, that brings us to agenda changes. Staff, do you have any agenda changes?
No, we do not.
Council, any agenda changes? We're now consent items. Consent items are routine matters enacted by one motion, according to the recommendation listed below. With the concurrence of the City Council, a council member or person in attendance may request discussion of a consent item at this time. Council members, do you wish to pull any consent items? No. Staff, do you wish to pull any consent items?
No, sir.
Belinda, would you have any speaker cards for consent items?
No cards for consent items.
Then I make a motion that we approve the consent items. It's moved and seconded. Please vote.
The motion carries by unanimous vote.
At this time, any person may address a matter within the jurisdiction of the City Council, Housing Authority, successor agency to the El Cajon Redevelopment Agency that is not on the agenda. This is public comment. Comments relating to items on today's agenda are to be taken at the time that the item is heard. State law does prohibit discussion or action on items not on the agenda. However, council, authority, and agency members may briefly respond to statements or questions, and an item may be placed on a future agenda. Belinda, do we have any cards under public comment?
Yes, we do have a few cards. The first speaker is Chuck Hansen.
Welcome, Chuck. How are you?
Fine, thank you, Mayor, Councilman, honorable staff. On Tuesday, February 7th, a luncheon was held at the 1812 Elks Lodge in El Cajon. We were picking the 2016 El Cajon Citizen of the Year. Each year, El Cajon Civic Service and fraternal organizations select the El Cajon Citizen of the Year from many people in El Cajon who contribute to El Cajon through years of volunteer civic and community service. Nominees need not reside in El Cajon, but their civic and community activities must be closely identified with the El Cajon community. Nominations are on the basis of volunteer civic and community activities in El Cajon over the years. All nominees attended the luncheon last week were recognized, and past Citizens of the Year recipients were introduced. This is a program that started in 1955. Our Citizen of the Year congratulations went out to Richard Dick Nassif and to the organization that nominated him, El Cajon Valley Host Lions Club and Heartland Lions Club Primary. Dick was active in youth baseball as both a coach and manager off and on from 1973 to 2000. He understood that when kids reached the age of 13, they oftentimes began to question authority. Dick felt it important that as a police officer an authority figure, he and the boys learned to relate to one another. So he began coaching for Grossmont Emerald Pony Leagues, El Cajon National and Fletcher Hills Little League. As a member of the Cajon Valley Educational Foundation Board, Dick was active in fundraising, planning events to sponsor various activities for students such as science, arts, and computer sciences. While with the city's International Friendship Festival, Dick served in various capacities such as marketing, fundraising, and arranging celebrity MCs. He continues on as a volunteer with the America on Main Street program. During his time with the Traffic Commission, Dick reviewed programs, discussed community problems, and provided input to the city council and staff. His input assisted city staff in improving traffic flow and signage and helped reduce liability for the city. As chair of the Prop O committee, they were charged with obtaining community support and ultimate passage of the propositions to fund and build a new police facility, Police and Fire Emergency Operations Center, and a new Animal Control Center. The proposition called for a temporary increase in sales tax with a 10-year sunset clause. The police have a new state-of-the-art facility. There is a modern emergency operations center, and the city is moving forward with the last component, a new animal control facility. The sunset clause has taken effect, and the community's taxes have been reduced. I must compliment, first of all, the City Council for those that attended the event. We wanted to certainly thank the city officials from Diane Jacob, Congressman Hunter's office, Senator Anderson's office, the East County Chamber of Commerce, but the organizations that led this, the El Cajon Rotary Club, the El Cajon Lions Club, the El Cajon Kiwanis, the 1812 Elks Lodge, and the El Cajon Citizen of the Year Committee. And most important, the person that made it a success, our MC for the day, Monica Zeck. Thank you.
Thank you for coming, Chuck.
Bonnie Price.
Ms. Price, welcome.
Hello. I just want to wish you all happy Valentine's Day. Said the wrong thing there almost. I want to commend you all for being a welcoming city. And on my way here, I heard the latest executive order from our new president. It made me very sad and dismayed. It is an executive order that would prevent a lot of wonderful people who came here as immigrants from continuing that opportunity. The latest executive order is prohibiting asylum seekers from coming to our country. And this is just simply outrageous. I think that this city ought to take a stand. We have a federal system of government with state and local governments that can take actions. The president should not be the only one who weighs in on this subject. Without the asylum seekers who came here, this city would not have the kind of economic growth that it has had. And I would hope that you will keep up our American traditions of being a welcoming country by keeping the city open to the refugees that can be supported by the local economy. I don't think this is the only city that should take people in. I think others should bear their share as well. And I think you can set an example by taking a position in opposition to the latest executive order. Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Ray Lutz.
Hello, Ray.
Hi there. Ray Lutz with Citizens Oversight. Happy Valentine's Day, and welcome to everybody. That's new faces up there. Not as much gender diversity, but a lot to do. Looks like I missed the ECPAC item, so I'm going to speak on that first, if you don't mind. Good job. Live Nation is an excellent producer, manager of theaters. There's no question that they can do it. It'd be like asking Starbucks if they can open a coffee shop. They can run this theater, and they'll make it a success. The issues that came up that I heard talking to me was, would community events be able to be held there? I imagine that they would. But really, let this company take off if they can. I mean, let them do what they need to do to make the project a success. Unfortunately, the Grossmont Community Concert Association did close its doors after over 70 years of operation, after the 7-year closure that you guys went through. Please don't close this again. This is a community resource that you should keep open. It's like putting a fence around a park. It's ridiculous. Now, my second topic is about police body cameras. We noticed in San Diego they've had a real drop in complaints. I noticed that in tests that they've done, they had a 93% reduction in complaints. You know, they say this El Cajon Police Department doesn't have too many complaints, but you know what? If you kill somebody and there's a lot of people nearly rioting in town, that counts up to a few complaints. So, you know, even if they're not officially a complaint, you need to kind of add those up somehow. The body cameras in these tests were effective even if the officers were not wearing them and didn't have them on, because they took on a different approach to their encounters with the public. They would come in with knowing the camera was there, with an effort to solve the problem rather than escalate it. Now, I asked about these body cameras, that they were in process or in the budget or something. They didn't really give me the answer. I didn't push it. I put a public records request for that information. It didn't really come back. But I implore you to continue to do that and make a positive effort toward solving these kind of problems in El Cajon. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have no more cards under public comment.
All right. I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing. Second. Please vote. Did I do that mistakenly? Okay. Forgive me. All right. Item 4.1 is on the Centennial Plaza Veterans Memorial and Flagpole refurbishment. Frank Carson, Recreation Services Manager, I see is up at the microphone, and he will tell us all about this. Hi, Frank.
Honorable Mayor, City Council, thank you for having me here today. I want to present to you a brief introduction to a little history of the Veterans Memorial we have just outside the windows here. So in 2000, we had the American Legion Post 303 work with the City of El Cajon. This is a scanned image, so it's a little grainy, but this is from 2000 when the first Veterans Memorial was established. It has a 5-sided obelisk, a granite at the bottom. You see the U.S. flag and the POW MIA flag. Over time, there's concerns with this, especially when you go to half-staff. The POW MIA flag may be vulnerable to vandalism or other concerns with that. In 2016, the City Council urged the city to then establish a much taller and significant flagpole that can be seen from afar. As you see the establishment here, this was done and established on June 14, 2016, Flag Day. The original was on Veterans Day in 2000, so we try to have significant days when we establish the flags. We also began to receive more community feedback from our veteran community about renovating it one more time, and the item went to the Veterans Commission in December. I want to identify, we do have American Legion Post 303 Post Commander Wes Sherman right here in the audience, as well as one of the members that actually, or one of our citizens that came to our Veterans Commission meeting, Mr. Eddie Murphy, who gave a lot of valuable feedback about appropriate flag etiquette and flying the certain types of flags. So what is recommended out at that memorial, and forgive my graphics if they don't meet certain standards, but we have the U.S. flag and the POW-MIA flag that's recommended of equal size on that flagpole now. And what you see below is what is referred to as the U.S. Armed Forces outdoor flag to fly over the Veterans Memorial out there. If you want to see, you may not be familiar with that U.S. Armed Forces outdoor flag, so this is a blow-up of it, but this is what is the accepted flag or recommended by the Veterans Commission. And we do have many members of the the American Legion Post 303 sitting right here as well in support of this, being that they were the initial driving force of establishing this Veterans Memorial back in 2000. And that's it for my presentation.
Thanks, Fred. Let me see if there's any questions. Council, any questions? Thanks, Frank, for a nice presentation. Belinda, do we have any speaker cards on this item?
No cards on this item.
All right, Council, any further discussion, or would someone like to proceed with a motion? Moved and seconded. Please vote.
The motion carries by unanimous vote.
And Wes, do you think you might introduce the people that you brought along with you today?
Thank you, Mayor. We have retired Deputy Sheriff William Bill McFarland. We have retired firefighter and the next prisoner of war, Lou Meyer. We have Mrs. Eddie Murphy, Carol Murphy, and we have Eddie Murphy, the former POW, the executive officer of the USS Pueblo. We have George Glover, a member of the Veterans Commission, and he was on the sports page of the Union Tribune this morning. Thank you.
Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, all of our veterans, and thanks for the service that you're still providing us in this capacity. We really appreciate you coming out, and we'll get this flag thing right, and it'll be very nice, and I'm sure everybody will enjoy it.
Thank you very much on behalf of Post 303. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Item 4.2 is a sign ordinance and temporary sign provision. Staff, would you please tell us about this?
Honorable Mayor and Council, on January 10th, Councilmember Ben Colascio initiated a discussion with the City Council regarding the possibility of extending the time period for new business signage. The City Council directed that staff return with detailed information regarding new business signage and what other types of temporary signs are permitted, acceptable materials, and how long these signs may be displayed. According to the El Cajon Municipal Code, specifically the sign ordinance, temporary signs are defined as a means of advertising. Typical construction is lightweight and flimsy, and it's intended for a short-term display. These signs normally include banners, balloons, inflatable objects, pennants, streamers, and the like. Temporary sign display for new businesses are allowed to have an initial period of 30 days. This also includes businesses that have a change of ownership. A new business may also obtain what's called a temporary use permit to allow for an additional 4 weeks. Based on that, a new business may display temporary signs for an initial 2-month period. However, all businesses can take advantage of other opportunities as well to attract attention to their business. That includes the ability to fly balloons, and there's no limit to the number and height other than what the FAA regulations are, for 30 consecutive days and not to exceed 120 days in any given year. And also take advantage of the 5 holiday periods throughout the year. And that can equate to a total of 99 days in a single year. So the staff has presented alternatives or options for the City Council to consider if they wish to amend or direct the Planning Commission to amend the sign ordinance. So the first option, obviously, that you'd no change. You leave the signed ordinance in place, and that existing sign or new businesses would take advantage of the existing provisions that are found in the sign ordinance. Alternative 2 could be maybe an extended period up to 3 months. So this alternative would allow 90 days and be in addition to the already permitted time periods For example, a new business could display temporary signs and other temporary attention-getting devices, which the sign ordinance allows, for up to an initial period of 120 days. This does not include the holiday periods that are also allowed in the code. Alternative number 3 could be up to 6 months. So 6 months would allow for, again, 180 days. This too would be in addition to the already permitted time periods for a total of 210 days. If all temporary sign allowances are then utilized in a given year, that would allow a new business to have 309 days of a temporary sign display. And alternative 4 would be for 12 months. So you get the picture there. So the City Council certainly has options regarding the information that's been presented. If the City Council wishes to initiate an amendment to the sign ordinance, it can give the staff and the Planning Commission as specific or as broad direction as it deems appropriate. The City Council does not have to make a decision or a specific decision on any of the issues or sign issues now, since this will go both through the Planning Commission and the City Council of a public hearing. The Council may wish to just give general direction for certain categories of the sign ordinance to be considered for the staff and the Planning Commission for further review and come back with a recommendation, or the Council can take no further action. A resolution of intention is included in your agenda report directing the Planning Commission to take further action as the City Council seems fit. And staff is available to answer any questions.
Thank you, Tony. I appreciate that. Any questions of staff? All right, then, Belinda, do we have any speaker cards? Yes.
Tony, I just want to be clear on something. So a new business could come in, and if they took advantage of all the holiday temporary sign time they're allowed, would it be about 159 days out of the year?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Speaker cards
Yes,
on this?
Mr. Mayor, I have 2 cards. The first one is from Travis Lyon.
Hi, Travis. Welcome.
Hello, my name is Travis Lyon. Mayor Wells, fellow councilman, thank you for this opportunity to speak on this item. I do have some visuals I'm going to go ahead and hand out.
Please.
So I'm here today on behalf of Darrell Priest. Darrell had a pre-existing meeting with Supervisor Jacob, was not able to attend, but he did ask me to come to speak on this very important item. And I've worked for close to a decade here in El Cajon with Darrell. I manage his real estate portfolio. I'm a commercial real estate broker. While I applaud the spirit behind this proposal to make changes to the sign ordinance, which I believe that spirit is to improve opportunities for businesses to succeed in El Cajon, I believe it's misguided, and I believe it's going to have the opposite effect. I have to say, I'm very impressed with the improvements to El Cajon's image under the council's leadership over the last decade. I believe a modification to the sign ordinance would take us backwards. Amending the sign ordinance will result in an arms race when it comes to signs. If you take a look at the handouts I provided, that is what El Cajon looked like prior to the sign ordinance. Do we really want to go backwards? And I think it's also misguided in understanding what's going to benefit businesses in El Cajon. I can tell you from a real estate aspect and coming and looking at opportunities, the first thing I'm looking at is the curb appeal. How does this street look? How does this community look? And that type of overdue or, like I said, arms race of signage, it looks tacky. It discourages businesses to come out and open up shop here in El Cajon. And I believe, like I said, the strides you made have made El Cajon a much more desirable place to do business, and I don't think it'd be beneficial to go backwards. I also think it's misguided because understanding how businesses operate and how they attract customers has changed. We rely on digital media and web presence to find the businesses we're going to go find. I think allowing changes, you're opening up a Pandora's box that I think it would end up in the wrong direction. So I want to close by saying I'm fortunate. I'm an elected official a couple times in Alpine. I've sat in a similar position, and I've had to make a decision. You guys are entrusted with making that decision about what's best for the community, and sifting through proposals that although well-intentioned, may not have the right effect. So, thank you very much for this opportunity, and my recommendation would be that you take no change or no modification to the sign ordinance. Thank you.
Let me see if there's any questions for you. Questions? Question.
Thanks, Travis. You threw in the word misguided a lot during your presentation, and I think what you gave us here is misguided. I say that because the sign ordinance proposed is talking about new businesses. We're talking about mesh signs on windows, grand opening signs, and I don't know if everybody can see, but what you sent was signs for businesses. Those are totally different. It's not even apples and oranges. It's like apples and kangaroos. So what I want to tell you, and I appreciate your being elected into Alpine. Alpine and El Cajon are completely different animals. And from a business perspective, a business which spends thousands of dollars using mesh signs digitally printed on a window isn't okay with having it up there for a couple months. They want to get the best return on their investment, and certainly you can appreciate that. But using the reasonable person standard, what you brought in today as far as an exhibit isn't reasonable because it just shows business signs. We're not talking about business signs. We're talking about signs that are used for promotional purposes. And when you hear about holidays and you're allotted to put your signs up for the holidays, nobody's going to keep track of what holidays are when and how many days they have left and all that stuff. So we have to have a clear-cut law in there saying that you can have X amount of days for a new business, and that's pretty much it. But, I mean, honestly, I don't know why you brought this here. It doesn't make any sense.
Thank you, Councilman Colascio. I have an opportunity to quickly respond.
Please.
And I appreciate your comments. I understand the difference totally. I think my point is I think opening up the sign ordinance, which took a lot of community effort and involvement, and I think has taken us in the right direction, it's a slippery slope. And I understand that is not all the same thing, but I think misrepresenting the amount of time that they are going to get a return on their investment is also misguided. I think staff presented opportunities are up to 100 days a year or more, including all those events. I think there's an opportunity for them to get a return on that investment for their temporary signs.
Do you own a business in El Cajon?
Yes, I manage a business in El Cajon.
No, do you own a business in El Cajon?
I own a real estate business. It's not my primary business anymore, but yes.
And you own a business in El Cajon that's a real estate business and you say that as a business owner, if you opened up a new business, you're okay with having spent thousands of dollars putting up a digital print sign on a window for it to be up for 3 months. Is this what you're telling me?
That is exactly what I'm telling you. I think the existing sign ordinance provides ample opportunity.
You're in the minority. I mean, and I understand what you're saying, and I want to let you know that nobody wants to go back to this. You literally brought us a picture from like the 80s. I can tell by the cars. Nobody wants to do that. But temporary signs and business signs, it's not reasonable.
Appreciate your comments. Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions? Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Darrell Priest. Okay, I understand that Mr. Priest is not here. I have no other cards for this item.
Okay, then it comes back to council. Thoughts? Ben, would you like to speak?
Yeah, I mean, here's what it is. We've entered an age where digital signs are a new norm, and they are very attractive. So I don't want you to. I know the council has this in front of them, so I don't even know why it's here. It doesn't make any sense. There's no correlation. The nexus isn't there between digital printed signs on windows and the Arby's sign from 1986. I don't understand it. But there's obviously a reasonable meeting in the middle, right? So when you look at if somebody can put up, Tony, if you can put up the months. So the argument about the holidays, nobody's going to remember the holidays to put up what signs when. That's a non-starter. But I mean, I would be in favor for something like a 6-month thing where people who, and maybe the verbiage can reflect digitally printed signs and signs that are more expensive, because those are not cheap use. You know, these are signs that people spend thousands of dollars on. So that's I want to hear what everybody else has to say. Maybe I'll have a rebuttal or agreement. So,
Anybody else? Mr. Goebel. I called on you first, Steve. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. In my mind, I'm thinking what's good for the people and what's good for the business. So certainly, the sign ordinance as it is one of the most generous sign ordinances that I've seen. I've been a tenant twice, a small business, and I wish that Lemon Grove and the county portion had the kind of sign, my landlord would give me these kind of sign things. So I see this as an extremely lenient, business-friendly ordinance, and that to me is pro-business. What's good for the people is that we don't want to create a kaleidoscope of colors in a neighborhood beyond its effectiveness. I have the unusual experience of having served as a marketing analyst for Jack in the Box for 9 years, 4 years, total of 9 years, and actually analyzed these things, the effectiveness of point-of-purchase display materials, window signage, media, other things. And after 60 days, they lose their effectiveness because at that point, people had driven by, they have seen the thing that's new that caught their eye, and after 60 days, it's lost its effectiveness at that point. And so I am in favor of no change because I believe 60 days for new business is generous and is the effective period. And it still allows them 99 other days, which are defined in the periods here, the 19 days around Valentine's Day, the 11 days around Mother's Day, et cetera, et cetera. So I think we've got a very defined program that I think is generous, good for business, and good for the community to keep it from being a kaleidoscope of color.
Bob?
I would agree. In fact, that was going to be my comment, that I was in business. I had business in El Cajon, La Mesa, Lemon Grove, and 30 days plus the other days that we allow are more than generous than other cities that I've done business in. So I think that I would like to leave it just the way it is, and that would be my motion if it's ready for that.
Okay. A motion is on the table. Is there a second, or would somebody like to also make a comment? I want to give everybody a chance to speak.
Well, I mean, it seems like everybody has their mind made up, but I want, it doesn't even matter. I want everybody to know where I stand on it. As far as somebody who owns a plethora of businesses more recently, it's a different age, so it's a different time frame, and nobody wants colors and a million signs everywhere. That's not what we're asking here for. So I want to be crystal clear on that. We're not asking for those. We're asking for those digitally printed and the newer signs to be more friendly for the people who own businesses, so that way they can get an ROI on their investment. So I just want everybody to know where I stand on it. And whatever direction the council goes, I don't know if 6 months, like my colleague here said, is the allotted time frame for effectiveness, or 3 months would be the time. I would probably argue that it depends on whether or not it's a car dealership or a dentist. It just depends. So a more detailed proposal or an ordinance, I think, is reasonable. So while you can exclude some things, include other things, I don't want banners everywhere. I don't want signs of different colors everywhere. That's not what I want. That's not what I'm asking for. So just to be clear, but my position is the most business friendly. As somebody who has previously ran the Chamber of Commerce and knows businesses firsthand, they do want more time to expose the specials that they have. I mean, listen, how many times have you been to a business and you've spoken to the people behind the counter and you're like, how long have you been here? And they're like, 2 years. Like, wow, it looks like you were just open 3 months ago. Time flies, so they need every hand up that they can get. We have a really high sales tax here in the city, so we have to attract new businesses. And whatever little changes and modifications we can make to the ordinance, it's pretty simple.
Okay, there is a motion on the table, but Gary, I'll give you a chance to speak.
Well, my very first city council meeting was as a high school student in 1972, and the issue was signs, and there was a lot of clearly sign pollution. It just didn't look good. And this city since has spent a lot of money, a lot of time trying to rebrand the city and making it look better. And I think the current sign ordinance, as Councilmember Goebel mentioned, is very generous. So I'm satisfied with what we have now.
There's a motion on the table. Would anybody like to make a second? Mr. Goebel? The motion's been moved and seconded. Please vote.
The motion carries 4-1 with Councilmember Kalasho voting no.
All right, that takes us to item 4.3. Item 4.3 is acceptance of pedestrian safety improvement at Greenfield Drive. Staff, would you please tell us about this?
Honorable Mayor and Council members, good afternoon and happy Valentine. I'm very pleased to present to you the completion of the Greenfield Drive pedestrian improvement projects. Before I start, though, I do want to introduce Tony Mendoza, our project manager, who had a direct hand in finishing that project on time and within budget. So I wanted to recognize him for that. Purpose of the project was to have complete street improvements in order to provide sidewalk, drainage, and a full new street section with enhanced pedestrian safety in the school zone, enhanced storm drain conveyance, as well as improved residential driveways and vehicular parking. Project limits, and I really want to touch up a little bit more on this. The original project was half of that size. As staff started about almost 3 years ago, the original scope was from 3rd Avenue to Souvenir Street, kind of halfway through there, at a cost of about north of $1 million. And upon discussion with staff, the residents, as well as coming back to the city council, it was the wisdom of the city council, direction of the city manager, that we really needed to finish up the full improvements rather than dividing this into a phase 1 and maybe in the future a phase 2. We wanted to provide a full, complete project to the residents. So the limit of the project was extended all the way to East Main Street. The total construction cost of the project is north of $1.8 million with several funding sources. We were able to obtain a Safe Route to School grant for about $350,000, Transnet funds for $1.2 million, as well as wastewater funds for the stormwater component of about $280,000. We did extensive work with the public regarding this project before, during, and even after. Before the project started, we held a public meeting at Greenfield Middle School to present the proposed improvements, and mind you, that was actually the smaller section. So we've got a lot of feedback from the residents. We had staff from planning, engineering, traffic, the full gamut of city staff. And we got a lot of great information from that. Also, prior to construction, staff met with residents. So staff walked door to door to each resident and talked to them specifically about the project. Extensive work, and I know Tony and before him the project manager, Katie Ordion, did extensive work with the residents to ensure that we minimize inconveniences as well. We built a top-notch project. Also, during the construction staff was in full contact with the residents during that phase to communicate all of the information as needed. So as they receive information from the residents, as well as provide information on the progress of the job. Go ahead, Tony. There's some pictures of the project with the meetings. that we've had with the residents. And there's also meeting during construction as well, and throughout the project site, not limited to one area, but the entire project. As far as construction, back in 2015, late 2015, the project was awarded to Dick Miller, Inc., again for about $1.8 million. The utility relocation took some time. But I want to commend the utility companies to working with us also with a constrained timeline to accomplish the work. Staff waited, actually, because when the utility companies finished, it was around the holiday time, so staff didn't want to inconvenience the public more. And so we didn't start until early March of 2016. But we finished it in 7 months, and staff was very diligent in completing that. And staff went through several phases, the storm drain phase, the grading, of course, the sidewalks, as well as the street work. More specifics on the improvements. The contractor was able to install 750 lineal feet of pipe, drainage pipe, along with inlets as well as water quality equipment. The contractor did full depth pavement reconstruction, and staff was able to utilize rubberized asphalt, which is a great way to enhance pavement section and prolong the life of the street. In addition to that, the installation of the concrete improvements was along the entire length of the project, which included sidewalks, curb and gutter, as well as pedestrian ramps. Not only that, but we went to modified rolled curb driveways, which is easier for motorists to traverse those driveways, getting into and out of their properties. The rest are great pictures. You see some of the pictures on the storm drain improvements, some of the bracing that they did. It's exciting for an engineer to say those things.
These are exciting photos for you? Okay.
Again, some pictures of grading. Again, full depth grading and roadway reconstruction. Go ahead, Tony. Some of the progress work pictures. Again, starting with a pretty good depth of almost 18 inches. Then the concrete work, extensive concrete work. Go ahead, Tony. And we're able to utilize some additional improvements, as you could see from the pictures, new street lights, striping, bike lanes, new mailboxes, as well as traffic calming devices such as speed indicators. There's some before and after pictures of the same area. So this is one picture. Go ahead, Tony. It's another picture.
Excellent.
And that's my story.
Before anybody else says anything, I want to say I've been doing this kind of work for 12 years now, and this is the most exciting project I've seen since I've been here. What a great job. Thank you so much. I'm going to open up the questions to staff, or the council. Council, any questions? Steve?
Well, Mr. Foley, do I need to recuse myself because I was in the project area?
No, this is merely acceptance of the project. The decision is only simply to finalize the project. You'll be okay. And it's a citywide project that when we do streets, the council members can vote on those things as long as they're part of a capital improvement citywide project.
Okay. Lou, your performance was fantastic. Good job.
Thank you.
Bob?
I know before this project was started, I complained numerous times about how rough the streets were and everything, and I said, what are we going to do Greenfield? What are we going to do Greenfield? And because I live off of Greenfield, and I use that to go to a restaurant on North 2nd Street, Kip's Restaurant, which I've been going to since the 60s, and it's changed to 3 different locations now, but it's very easy to get to going on Greenfield and turning left. So I really appreciate how nice it turned out. And I remember how bumpy it was and the potholes and everything before it was started. So congratulations, job well done. And now we got to do something about 2nd Street because that's getting a little rough between Main Street and the freeway. It's got a lot of work to be done there. That might be the next project.
Okay. See, you don't even get to really enjoy this. Bob's got you working on another project already. That's it. He's a hard taskmaster. Gary, do you have anything? No. Thank you very much, both of you gentlemen. I appreciate the report.
And one last comment, Mayor. I really want to recognize the City Council, then our City Manager, for doing both projects, for authorizing us, staff, to do both projects at the same time. We gained great advantage in doing that and combining those projects, and the City Council probably saved the citizens several hundreds of thousands of dollars as well.
Appreciate it. Thank you. All right, Belinda, do we have any speaker cards on this item?
No cards on this item.
Okay, Council, any further discussion?
Move to staff recommendations.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, moved and seconded. Please vote.
The motion carries by unanimous vote.
Item 4.4 is authorization to engage in negotiations regarding the East County Performing Arts Center. Staff, would you please tell us about this?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I am very pleased to be able to bring this item to the City Council and to the community this afternoon. As the Council and the community knows, over the past several years, the City has spent a lot of time in both preparing for the renovation and reopening of ECPAC. And as the staff report has outlined, as time has gone by and we've looked at different potential partners and so on, we arrive at a place where we pretty much know what needs to be done in the building, but we still did not really have a partner. Beginning middle of 2016, I had cause to contact Live Nation, which is the world's largest and the United States largest live entertainment company. Currently operating. They are at a level of professionalism that is unsurpassed within the industry. And what started as very casual and honestly just trying to get their attention, they were unaware of the existence of ECPAC and its potential opportunities, and eventually we did get their attention. Eventually they did come down to the site with 3 different individuals, each one higher ranking and more proficient in understanding what ECPAC might have the potential to do in their future portfolio. Live Nation is a company that attempts to book or partially book tours of various artists around the United States, throughout the world, and they do that through 2 ways. They operate exclusively certain venues around the United States. Right now, it's 167, but that number is growing almost monthly. But they don't always have the venues they need, and sometimes they'll just go into somebody else's venue and they will book dates of somebody whose tour they are supporting throughout the country. So it is in their interest to look at the opportunity of different venues in places that they don't think they really have a big enough presence, and that is eventually what attracted their attention to ECPAC. So those were admittedly informal discussions. I don't have a lot of details to share with you about that. But we did reach a point in those discussions with them a short time ago where basically we said to them, it's kind of fish and cut bait. Either you want to enter a negotiation with the city or this just isn't going to work for you and we need to stop talking. And they said, we're ready to begin a formal negotiation. And that leads us to this afternoon where I am asking the Council's authorization to direct me to conduct those formal negotiations. As the staff report says, it would be my intention to keep the City Council informed as those progress and, of course, eventually bring back a draft agreement. Hopefully between Live Nation and the City, I expect this to take the form of a management contract agreement that is essentially a contract staff that we're more used to at a smaller level, and that would be finally approved by the City Council at a public meeting taking public testimony. With that having said, I'm more than happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Council, any questions for Doug? Bob?
I think this is a great step forward, and I think it's a great thing for our city because we would get no better manager than what this company is, since they have venues all over the country and they know what they're doing. And they're a very successful organization.
Mr. Colosio.
Well, I want to just say that, Doug, you did a great job. This is like a publicly traded company that's trading, it's been doing really good, so this would be a good partnership. And even at the very least, just your effort of trying to reach out to some of these, and if it works, obviously great. If it doesn't work, listen, my hat's off to you because you put in the work and time. I know how hard it is to get a hold of these people, especially with a company of this caliber. So great job.
Steve?
I think it's very forward vision thinking. I think you've got a great opportunity in front of you. Nice job.
Gary?
Well, everything that Live Nation touches turns to gold, and this is a chance to make our Performing Arts Center sparkle again. I think this could really enhance the ongoing revitalization of our downtown and our entire city.
For the public's benefit, could you give us, in your mind, some of the events that we might see if Live Nation were to come on board? And I'm putting you a little bit on the spot, but
No, not at all.
but you can handle it. I trust you.
I don't expect to see Mick Jagger here anytime soon, to be honest with you. But I've had some discussion with Live Nation. Let me describe it this way. As you can imagine, they control or use certain venues that would be in the heart of San Francisco, the heart of Los Angeles, the heart of New York City, the heart of London, and all of that sort of thing. Then they have venues, and the one I would point you to because we've been in communication with them, in the city of Riverside. They also have city of San Bernardino, and I think ECPAC fits more in line with those kind of venues. I guess the first question is, would we have ever heard of any of the people they would bring here? Absolutely. Do I think it's going to be the people that sell out 100,000, a Qualcomm Stadium? No, it's not going to be that. It's going to be at a different echelon. And they have described three components and it's not a surprise. I think, we looked at this for years and talked to so many different people about what they thought was possible realistically in ECPAC. And Live Nation in their discussion, and they have San Diego people and California people and U.S. people, and they've all looked at this to see where would this fit into their a group of venues. And you have the kind of up-and-comers that are on the West Coast tours or on the East tours. Maybe my kids or grandkids would have heard of those people, but maybe us oldsters probably not. They're on the way up. You've got people that a lot of us would have heard on. They may have been really famous 15 years ago. They're probably not on the top 20 charts today, but you would have absolutely heard of these people. And then you have the specialty markets. There's obviously been a lot of discussion about our Middle Eastern market here, I would say the older market of country western, so on and so forth. And then I think Ray made a comment about, well, what about, kind of the local groups that have been around here for a long time. Those specialty markets, I think, make up the third part. Having said that, certainly we will be talking to them and pushing them to bring as big a names as we possibly could, both music, comedy, other types of things like that. And there's also an opportunity, as Councilmember Kendrick has mentioned in the past, as far as remade digital movies of the 60s and 70s and bring that back. They have done that in other venues, and they've said that's been very familiar to them. And regarding specifically our Chaldean friends here in this community, I mentioned it, and most people who aren't from the East County have no idea who Chaldeans are. They said, well, we have a venue in Detroit. We know exactly who the population is, and we know exactly who their music stars are. So that was just kind of an interesting added benefit in our discussion.
So looking at the venue in Riverside that's also contracted out with Live Nation.
Yeah.
Not only do they have different kinds of acts, music and comedy and plays and things like that, but I'd be curious to know, are there a lot of bookings throughout the year? And I'm asking specifically because if you could give a little crystal ball idea of what it looks like? How does it change life in El Cajon? What are the opportunities for entertainment? How does it affect the new hotel, the restaurants, the downtown area?
I think we would expect to begin in year one, and just like a lot of companies, it takes a while for their marketplace to mature. So year 3, and this happened in Riverside, not only did they project it, Riverside's now in year 4, and this is actually what's happened there. And they have a theater that's very similar to ECPAC, as it turns out. Their first year, they projected 60 main shows, and they did about 70. Their second year, they projected 70 main shows, they did 80. They outperformed their performer a little bit. And then there are city days. So basically the deal up there was Live Nation said, we're going to be locking in dates up to a year ahead of time with as good a names as we can. It is their goal to get a minimum of 70% occupancy. They actually did about 85% occupancy on average per show. And then once we get our dates locked up, if the city has other people that it wants to produce in there, Live Nation will facilitate that. And so when the city then came in on top of, let's say, the 60 or 70 dates Live Nation did, they did about another 24 dates beyond that. Now, this will be a future issue. That became very expensive for the city to do that because they ended up not paying for themselves, and the city had to pick up the bill. And that's a separate issue later on. But you're looking, I think, at least at one show a week, and could eventually grow to about 1.5 shows a week. And if you do get near capacity or 85% capacity, that's about 900 people or 850 people. We have also shown them, we have this beautiful plaza. Most of their venues don't have anything like that where they could do an outdoor event that then leads into the show actually taking place. I think they see some possibilities about that. If you add up all of that, I think it puts downtown El Cajon on the map. It hugely benefits certainly the restaurants or any other business in the downtown area that would cater to people coming from outside the area, spending some time, and then going back out again. And like the Marriott Hotel, which we expect to open in about 5 months, in case you're wondering, and they're asking about ECPAC, and ECPAC, they're asking about the Marriott because they're going to end up using each other, I think. This is the kind of use that activates other businesses that we can only project in the future. We knew that with the hotel. They bring other uses in their wake once they've established. I believe if this is activated and stabilizes, it will bring other businesses to downtown. So I hope I was able to answer that.
That's great.
I know it's generalized.
That's a perfect answer. It's actually a lot more than I expected. I was surprised by that number. That's a lot. And just for full transparency, could you? I know this is not going to happen tomorrow. There's work that has to be done on the building, and then it's a process. Can you explain briefly to the public what that entails and when we might see an opening?
Well, as Ray Lutz will tell you, every projection I've ever made has been wrong so far. So I really hesitate to do this, but I will try. Because of the amount of due diligence that Live Nation did, and they spent months really taking a look at this. I was impatient, but they said, we don't walk into something unless we're 100% sure we want to walk into this thing. So they did that. So they know a lot about the building. They have all of our detailed plans for the construction. We've had many, many, many conversations. We've seen their contracts and talked to them and talked to other people in the marketplace, so we make sure we have a professional level understanding of how to deal with them and so on. I don't envision this kind of negotiation taking very long. If we didn't really have a strong draft agreement within 90 days, I would be disappointed. So if I have to come back here in 90 days and tell you I'm disappointed, then I'll do that. But I think that's realistic. Once we get that locked in and the city council's Of course, we schedule up for city council, public input, whether that's one meeting or 2 meetings, I don't know. The next step, which we would be talking to them simultaneously, is they have all of our very, very detailed construction plans that had previously gone out to bid. So we will be saying, what part of these plans work for you, what part of these plans don't work for you, is there anything that needs to be changed? I don't know the answer to that question. We haven't really broached that much. They have the data, but we haven't talked about it at all. If we have to do a lot of changes to them, that takes several months. We have an architect on that the council hired, Mosier Drew. We still have them. It could take a few months to redo those plans, and you're going to put those out to bid. That's typically, 4 months? Yeah, 4 to 5 months to go out to bid. I think we'd previously thought that the actual construction, once we started, was probably 7 to 8 months in length. So you're already into 2018 at that point, and knowing what the requirements are for any company that's booking, they have to have 100% assurance that it's ready to go. They may be booking a year ahead of time, but they're not going to do that at risk. They're not going to say, well, we'll book in April of 18 hoping you guys are done. They can't do that. So they're not going to start booking until they're 100% sure that it's done, it works, everything's completely done. In thinking about this, just admittedly privately, I think mid-18 is realistic. I doubt before that is realistic. It may move from there a little bit, but I think if you add up everything I just said, you get to mid-18.
I appreciate all the information. Thank you very much. Any more questions of staff? All right. Belinda, do we have any speaker cards on this item?
Yes, sir, we do have a couple of cards. The first speaker is Bonnie Price.
Well, Ms. Price, welcome.
Hello. I want to say thank you to the city manager and the council for enabling him to do the right thing for ECPAC and for the community. You may recall, some of you, that several years ago we had a group called Save ECPAC, led by Ray Lutz, who presented the city with a set of recommendations in a 50-page report asking that the city council reopen ECPAC and have professional management so that the enterprise would be profitable rather than a loser. And so it's taken a while, but we are very glad that you are now considering it and hope that all of you will support it 100%. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Ray Lutz.
Ray?
I'm sorry, I misspoke earlier. I saw it on the consent calendar, and so that's why I was speaking to the issue earlier.
No problem.
I just wanted to add a couple more comments here in that, yes, we did work quite a bit on this theater, but really what we found was it's not in that bad a shape. You know, people were telling us, oh, it's a disaster and so forth. We asked theater, I had people come in from the old Globe Theater. They said, all of this rigging is brand new. It's better or as good as the old Globe Theater. And basically, we couldn't find a whole lot wrong with the place. And everyone said, oh, everything's wrong. We need to upgrade the audio. I talked to performers. They said, look, we bring our own audio. We don't care about yours. We just tap into the final connections, and then that's it. And so I would say, let's be a little bit more aggressive here. Talk to Live Nation and say, look, let's start opening this thing up as soon as possible before we do all of the reconfiguration. I know you've got these plans. They've been falling flat because can't even get anybody to bid on them. You know, they haven't gotten good bids in. Who's going to come? Well, realize this theater is 1,142 seats. Lady Gaga is not going to be able to come here. You know, that's a Super Bowl. It's great. So it's not going to be the top acts. It's going to be either the beginning acts or the retiree, nearly retired acts. Those are the ones that you're going to get. Or the maybe ethnic acts that are not mainstream U.S. acts, but maybe even more appropriate for this area. So this is going to be, if you do it right, and there were some recommendations that we had to bend over backwards to let the theater run. That means let there be cocktail and alcohol sales in the venue. All other venues do this. So you can't go in there with a do-goody attitude and say, we're not going to have any alcohol. All venues have alcohol, so you got to go after it and say, look, El Cajon is going to have to be competitive with these other venues, so we're going to have to go in and match what they're doing. This is not, the people don't come in and it's not a drunken craze out here. Most people that go to these things are well behaved. Humphreys, they sell alcohol there. You know, it's a big part of what their revenue stream is. You got to embrace that. So again, this can be, instead of El Cajon, they call it the box. It could be the jewelry box. Okay, this is the diamond in the middle of the jewelry box. If you really go after it, so I encourage you to do that. Thank you to Douglas Wilford and the staff, doing a great job. Sometimes I complain, but today, a salute. Thank you.
All right, we'll take that.
Art Ballantyne.
Mr. Ballantyne, welcome.
Mayor, council members, city manager, this is an excellent project. As traditionally, the ECPAC has had theater, music, dance, and other performances, yet in the handout I've included a partial copy of a survey on audience preferences. And the survey supports the consensus of those types of goings-on, and we certainly hope that's continued. As it would seem to be helpful to have not only advice, but professional advice, it's suggested that the city create a ECPAC advisory board composed of performing art professionals, and they could advise the city on many aspects of what's happening, and I hope you would consider that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ballantyne.
Joan Shoemaker.
Welcome, Ms. Shoemaker.
But this is so exciting. Thank you so much for all that you've done so far to get these people here to talk to us. It was many years ago when I was first elected to the city council, and I said to Bob Acker, what about the Performing Arts Center? And he said, well, it's not ours. What? It's right here. We need it. And because it was run, of course, by the Grossmont Community Concert Association and the college. But once we decided, I'm not sure the city manager was happy about that, but I think you've been working with Mitch Gershenfeld a little bit on this also. We hired him to start, and we had wonderful performances there, and it was usually a full house and just great stuff. I know we won't have the same kinds of things because now we're old and we don't, I'm not into Lady Gaga. But you probably had never heard of Engelbert Humperdinck, but he was here, and there was like 20 ladies sitting in front of me, and I said, where are you from? And she says, we're from Los Angeles. And I said, you've come all the way down here to sing Engelbert Humperdinck? Oh, yes, we're his fan club. We go wherever he goes. And I thought, well, that's wonderful. But we also had Debbie Reynolds here, and she was a delight, an absolute delight to have here in our city. So just kudos to you, and go for it, and thank you so much.
Thanks for coming, and thanks for all the work you have done that made this possible.
I have no more cards on this item.
Okay, council, then, it comes back to you for discussion and/or a motion. Bob?
I would move to have Doug go ahead and engage in negotiations.
So maybe make sure there's nobody else who want to make a comment. Oh, yeah, we have a motion then on the floor.
Second.
Moved and seconded, please vote.
The motion carries by unanimous vote.
And I got to tell you, we are blessed with a great city manager who made this thing happen. Getting hold of Live Nation and getting them interested is a remarkable feat. Congratulations. All right, item 5.1. We are now at commission reports. Item 5.1 is the annual report of the Public Safety Facility Financing Oversight Committee. Roger Smith, chair of the committee, is here to speak to this item. Mr. Smith, if you would please come forward and tell us all about it. Hi, Mr. Smith. How are you?
Mr. Mayor, council members, I'm Rod Smith. I'm the chair of the Public Safety Facility Committee. I have been that chair for ever. I would like to say that we've had a great year. The police station is finished. The fire department rehab is just about done. Next step is the animal shelter, and we hope to have that probably next year. Special thanks from my view as a chairman to acknowledge some of the staff at El Cajon, like Brett Channing, Holly Falk, Tracy Yale, and a very strong recommendation and praise for Majeb, because he has led us completely down the road, and we're certainly better for it. So we're in good shape.
Thanks. That's a good report. Let me see if there's any questions for you. Questions? Thanks. You're coming to the sunset of this whole process pretty soon, huh?
It's got to be close.
Okay. We'll look forward to at least another report or two before it's all over. All right. Belinda, do we have speaker cards on this item?
No cards on this item.
Council, any discussion, or would someone like to make a motion?
Move to accept the report.
All right. There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second? Mr. Goebel, second. Please vote.
The motion carries by unanimous vote.
Okay, item 6.1 is activity report. Mine are as reported. This brings us to item 6.2. Item 6.2 is a proposal for an opposition letter for Senate Bill 54. Senate Bill 54 is a bill that has been introduced by the Senate Pro Tem, Kevin De Leon, which I want to bring to everyone's attention. It is in reaction to the recent executive order signed by President Trump by proposing to make California a sanctuary state. Currently, law enforcement is required to notify the federal government about deportation matters if there is a reason to believe that a person arrested may not be a citizen of the United States. Senate Bill 54 would repeal that law and would prevent local law enforcement agencies across the state from using resources to investigate, interrogate, detain, detect, report, or arrest persons for immigration enforcement purposes. SB 54 was introduced as an emergency bill, meaning that it will be fast-tracked through the legislative process and become state law immediately upon signature from the governor. SB 54 has passed out of the Senate Policy Committee, the Public Safety Committee, and is currently in the Senate Appropriations Committee. The California Chiefs Association has some major concerns with this bill and is working with Senator De Leon on these issues. However, due to the fast-track nature of this bill, plus the potential harm to the safety of our residents, I believe that our City Council should oppose SB 54 at this time, as is currently written. I'm asking is to write a letter of that opposition from the Council. Does this Council have any questions or comments?
That would be my recommendation and motion.
Any other comments, Mr. Clausen?
So I view this as being such a partisan topic, right? So, and I think that as a city we could be better than that. We don't have to pick either or. And I say that because we don't have the information, because the argument to me seems to be that in relation to crime and what illegal immigrants, what crimes are going on. And we don't have those statistics, so we don't know what's really happening. And again, I'm going to say this, using the reasonable person standard, if we aren't hindered by the current operational methods, then other than just drafting a letter, just for political sake and posturing in that sense, which really doesn't serve El Cajon so well. If the chief could tell us if there is which way we decide to go with, either for or oppose, if this would hinder their policing in any way, because I think the underlining positions that people take is in regards to crime in general. So the whole conversation about immigration and the left takes it this way and the right takes it this way, it's all about crime. So, and nobody wants criminals. Everybody wants to expedite getting criminals who are illegal out of here. That's not up for negotiation. But if we want to know real stats, and that's what I'm interested in. And I think we don't have it. We don't have the stats. And I talked to Doug, and he spoke with the chief, and I don't think we have stats, either from Sandag or anything else. So I don't want to make any rash decisions. And this bill is probably a rash decision. So was Trump's bill was a rash decision. It's all just rash decisions. We have to be more pragmatic, and we have to study the statistics. What's really going on? And if nothing's going on, then nothing's going on. And drafting a letter of neutrality, or at least waiting a couple weeks until we can get stats, that would be my position. But if we can understand maybe from the chief or somebody what the numbers are actually, how many illegals are committing what crime, this will give us a better understanding.
Anybody else have any comments? Well, I want to say what's really at stake here. What is being proposed, at least, and it may change, but what is being proposed now and is on a fast track to the governor's desk to very quickly become law, is a situation where somebody can be convicted of a crime like rape or murder and still not be deported. The federal government has law that supersedes the law of the state. The state is taking it upon itself to invalidate that. And I think that I believe in rule of law. I think most people here believe in rule of law. And I would like to at least make that voice heard in Sacramento.
Yeah, everybody believes in the rule of law. The question is, when you say if somebody commits this crime and then we're proposing this fear about a crime and then they're not going to be deported, okay, but how many of them have done that and have not been deported? We need to know those numbers.
I think one's enough.
Well, one's totally enough. But is there one? And what were the circumstances? So I think the statistics, for El Cajon at least, right, because this is the city that we have jurisdiction over, if somebody could comment on, do we have the statistic on that before we can draft a letter? Of course we want to stay safe. But this issue is so politicized that everybody's missing what the argument is. It's about crime. Give me the numbers.
Gary?
Well, I'll give you my own experience. A few years ago, I was driving down Cuyamaca. The car in front of me ran a red light and crashed right into the side of the person that was turning left on a green light. And they hit him so hard, the car spun around, and the doors opened, and all these bottles of alcohol came flying out. The guys who were driving the car were drinking. So I get on my cell phone, call the police, and these guys run off. Well, it turns out they were illegals. And so there is more than one. There were at least 4 of them. And that was a few years ago. So that's my experience. And I think they should be deported. If they commit a crime, they should be deported.
But they could have just easily been legals. Because drinking and driving isn't exclusive to illegals.
I'd like to keep some decorum here. Steve?
Yeah, I always come back. What's good for the people? What's good for the people? And what's good for the people of El Cajon? So if we, this bill, I don't think is good for the people of El Cajon. because it says hands off. And I'm not going to say let them run loose. That's not the right thing, but it is hands off. I don't know that that's good for the people of El Cajon. Senate Bill 54.
All right, I'd like to make a motion then to...
Excuse me.
You do. Oh,
Excuse me,
sorry.
Mr. Mayor, I'm
I
sorry.
forgot.
Do
We have speaker cards on this?
we have one card.
I apologize. Thank you.
Thank you. Bonnie Price.
I'm wearing out the microphone today. Well, this position that you wish to take, Mayor Wells, I would urge you to rethink that, not only because of the lack of statistics, but because of the lack of humanity. We had witness on Friday where supposedly aliens were being picked up because they were criminals. And in L.A., a mom was reporting for her regular report period with ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, and they arrested her. She was following the rules. She was arrested. The pretext for her arrest was that she had committed a crime of crossing the border. Of course she committed a crime. She was put in a transit van, and I think it was her husband curled up in the wheel to prevent her from being driven south of the border. That is heartless. We've had a policy whereby if someone is here illegally, that we respect that they're a parent and they're working, and their kids should not come home from school and find their parents missing. So humanity says, let's keep these people who are shown no real significant crime except coming across the border. We should continue that. I know that we've had our closest neighbor and one of our biggest trade partners, Mexico, had a number of uprisings against the United States because we're taking this awful position of no one is a good person unless they have followed all the laws in regard to crossing the border. People are coming across the border because they're hungry. They're coming because they're being persecuted, especially those down in Nicaragua and some of the other non-Mexican cities. So I know that the new executive order that I referred to earlier today is even more disconcerting than the previous move by ICE. So it may just wipe out for a time what Senator De Leon plans to do. But we have hired as a state Eric Helder to do battle with the national government on behalf of the state. We have states' rights in this country. That's part of the federal system. We should respect our state efforts to protect all of the residents who live here. I'm sorry, I'm late.
I just want to respond to your question. I'm not advocating anybody to be deported. I'm advocating us cooperating with our federal government. And I do not believe that states' rights include the ability to ignore federal law. And I know that that's controversial right now. I know that people are lining up and fighting about that issue. But I do feel strongly about that. And I do not want to allow California to take this ludicrous idea of becoming a sanctuary state without having stood up and represented my constituency and said something. And that's all I'm doing is representing my constituency and saying something.
And what you're also saying by taking the position you are is that the local police have to become a branch of the federal government's police, which is the Immigration and Customs Enforcement.
That's actually not true. I'm saying that the local police, like in many, many instances, are required to comply with federal law.
Sure.
But that's not becoming a branch of some kind of secret police or some kind of branch of the government. It's just being compliant like all cities and all counties in the entire United States are required to do.
Well, there is supremacy of the national laws, but I think if you look closely at what is being commanded or trying to be commanded, is that the local police would be an extension of the federal law to apprehend in cooperation with the ICE.
Well, I reject that premise, but you have the right to make it. Thank you for coming.
Okay.
All right. We are at Mr. Colosio, more statement?
Yeah, I want to reiterate for clarity because there are many comments. So I'm not either not for it or against it. I just simply am asking for more information. But what I do want to do is I already have the answer, but for the purpose of everybody else hearing it, I want to ask if the chief can tell us if this would change.
I'm not going to ask the chief to come down because really all we're doing is deciding whether or not we want to write a letter, not about statistics, not about deporting people, but just whether or not this council wants to stand up for the concept of not flying in the face and flagrantly violating federal law.
But you talk about sanctuary cities, and nobody really knows what that means, or sanctuary states, right? So it would be good for everybody's benefit to hear if the chief would tell us if this would change his protocol or make his job harder or easier. I think everybody would want to know that.
I'm not going to ask the chief to weigh in on a political decision like this. I think it's we're elected.
But it's about policing.
We're elected officials. We can make that decision.
I'm saying, can we check with legal? If I make a request that the chief answer a question for me.
Well, I think the mayor is running the meeting, and if the mayor chooses not to open it up to staffers, you can request the city manager to look into information if that's what the council wants to do. So I think it's within the mayor's power to deny your request.
Understood. I'd like to read then what the chief is, or his basic concern is that nothing would prevent us from fully investigating a crime no matter what. So that's for everybody to hear. So that's why I'm saying, draft a letter of neutrality and learn more about the topic before picking a side.
All right. Well, I'd like to make a motion that we don't do that. I'd like to make a motion that we write a letter stating that we're in opposition to the concept of a sanctuary state, and that we think that the state of California should comply with federal law. Second. Moved and seconded. Please vote.
Excuse me. The motion carries 4-1 with Councilmember Colosio voting no.
All right. Councilmember Kendrick, your activities?
As reported.
Councilmember Colosio. Or, sorry, McClellan?
As reported.
Councilmember Colosio?
No.
No?
As reported.
As reported, okay. Councilmember Goebel?
I have two items. This past week.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, you have item 9.2.
Oh, I forgot. I'm sorry. Thank you. Item 9.2. Councilmember Colosio, you've brought forward item 9.2 on the El Cajon Elves. Would you tell us about this, please?
El Cajon Elves was an idea or a concept that I thought of when I was involved in a small capacity with the Santee Santas. Our neighboring city has an organization which raises toys and subsequently food for children, as well as other really good programs. And I thought it would be a novel idea to bring in something similar to that called the El Cajon Elves, whereby instead of reinventing the wheel every time, I know there's copious amounts of organizations that do toy drives. So this one would be concentrating more on seniors and the elderly. Basically I was thinking about raising socks, blankets, and slippers for them. And this organization would go around just like elves during the holidays and sing Christmas carols to them and hand out blankets, socks, and slippers, which they would be collecting year-round. So it would be a set up around a 501c3 premise with financial support backing from the city. And I don't know if we have too many senior programs or anything benefiting the elderly currently, so I thought it would be a neat idea to do. It would require minimal time from staff, but I think we would get a lot of volunteers. I know when I shared it on Facebook, a lot of people were interested in being a part of it. I think it's a great way to not forget about the seniors and elderly.
Great, so what do we need to do?
Pay.
Mr. Mayor, this is like any other council-introduced item. This is a question as whether the council wishes to agendize this for a future meeting for a decision.
Okay. Ben, you want to
Yeah, I move to direct the city manager to bring this issue back to the council for discussion and decision.
Did I second? Mr. Goebel, please vote.
The motion carries by a vote of 4-1 with Councilmember McClellan voting no.
Okay. That brings us to Councilmember Goebel.
This past week, we had East County Californian Best of event over at Olag Weghorst. Did I say that correctly? Museum. The city should be very proud in the way that it serves its citizens with Sarah and Frank's leadership and with Kennedy Rec Center leader Julie and her assistant Megan. Out of 32,000 plus votes, the Kennedy Rec Center was voted best of all East County. And that includes, among a lot of other options, both public and private. So that is an incredible achievement and recognition. I think they deserve some congratulations for that. I'm very, very happy to see them recognized for that. I understand perhaps we have the most rec centers per capita in all of San Diego County, which is a great service to the citizens of El Cajon. I have one other item. This letter is from the Pacific Southwest Regional Anti-Defamation League. It was addressed to a member of the El Cajon Police Department. It is my pleasure to inform you that out of the many excellent nominees, El Cajon Police Officer Louis Michael has been selected to receive the prestigious and coveted ADL 2017 Helene and Joseph Sherwood Prize for combating hate for his ongoing commitment, support, and contribution in helping to eliminate hate and prejudice. His efforts have been instrumental in promoting acceptance and in welcoming diversity within our community. They say we respect Officer Michael for his innovative, proactive, and reactive work in the community. I think Officer Michael is in back. Wave your hand. Congratulations on your award. It's a regional award, Pacific Southwest Region, so we're proud to have you as an officer. Thank you very much. That's all I have.
Thanks, Mr. Goebel. Okay, there are no joint council member reports and no general information items for discussion. There are no readings of ordinances and no closed session items. And this brings us to the adjournment of the regular joint meeting of the El Cajon City Council, El Cajon Housing Authority Successor Agency to the El Cajon Redevelopment Agency, held this 14th day of February 2017, is adjourned until this evening, Tuesday, February 14th, 2017 at 7 o'clock p.m. We are adjourned. Clerk, please call the roll.
All council members present.
Would you all stand with me for a moment of silence? For the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a brief moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Staff, do you have any agenda changes? Council members, any agenda changes? At this time, any person may address a matter within the jurisdiction of the City Council, Housing Authority, successor agency to the El Cajon Redevelopment Agency that is not on the agenda. Comments relating to items on today's agenda are to be taken at the time that the item is heard. State law prohibits discussion or action on items not on the agenda. However, council, authority, and agency members may briefly respond to statements or questions, and an item may be placed on a future agenda. Belinda, do we have any cards under public comment?
No cards under public comment.
All right, moving right along then, we're at public hearing item 100. This is the second public hearing on the proposed schedule and criteria for creating council district boundaries. I'd like to ask our staff to introduce this item, please. Hi, Brett. Welcome.
Good afternoon or evening, Mayor and City Council. As you're aware, this is the second public hearing of two that we've had to discuss the composition of the districts themselves to allow public comment, as well as to go over the proposed criteria and timeline for the implementation of district elections, Measure S. So we have here today Justin Levitt from NDC is here to answer any questions that you maybe have about the proposed criteria that is before you, as well as the implementation schedule. Once this gets approved by the City Council, we would be moving forward with community workshops, 4 of them to be exact, in which the community would have the opportunity to learn about how to submit draft maps, as well as answer or ask any sort of questions about the district election process, what this entails, what it means, how do they form a district themselves. After that, draft maps would be created by NDC, who is our consultant, and those would be, again, taken back to the community for input on what they think, which draft maps they believe would be best, which draft maps they prefer over others, and that would be brought back to the City Council for review and public input. Also in the staff report, you see we listed about 4 issues that were brought up at the last council meeting, and we have provided answers to those. So again, if there's any follow-up questions on those items, we'd be happy to answer them. And that's my report.
Brett, thanks very much. Let me see if there's any questions of the council. Council, any questions for Brett? Thanks, Brett. Okay. The public hearing is now open. Belinda, do we have any speaker cards?
Excuse me, no cards on this item.
And I'll make a motion to close the public hearing. Moved and seconded, please vote.
The motion carries by unanimous vote.
All right, council, I leave it to you. Do you have any discussion, or would somebody like to make a motion? Well, this seems like pretty straightforward. I have a lot of confidence in the process. I have confidence in the consulting firm that we've hired. I'm comfortable at this point without too many more questions. Anybody would like to make a motion?
I have a question.
Yeah, that's Steve.
Sorry, to recap, items or criteria number 1 through 7 were criteria that were used by other cities. Do I remember that right from the prior presentation?
Answer the question.
That's a good question, and the list of criteria we have are pretty standard. Most jurisdictions switching to districts or that are redrawing their boundaries use the same list. Most of them come directly either out of state or federal requirements.
So they're very common. They've somewhat been vetted by other jurisdictions who have gone through this process already.
The first 2, for example, are set by the Supreme Court, and in 3 through 5, I believe 3 through 6 come out of state laws governing how cities do redistricting, so forth. It's a very standard list.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, Bob.
I would move that we adopt the next resolution and approve the recommendation of the schedule for implementation of Measure S.
There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second? Mr. Goebel, second. Please vote.
Sorry. The motion carries by unanimous vote.
Item 101 is on the Magnolia Hills project, zone reclassification number 2315, planned residential development number 72, and tentative subdivision map number 662. Staff, would you please tell us about this?
Honorable Mayor and Council, we just need one moment for the projector to warm up.
Okay, so while we're waiting, could you sing us a song? Or this is your time.
I don't think you want me to sing you a song.
All right, the staff is all shaking their heads like they've
heard me sing before.
Experienced karaoke night somewhere.
Yeah, this is his birthday, isn't it? Isn't it?
No, sir. No, I just had my just a birthday a couple of months ago.
Oh, okay.
All right, Mr. Honorable Mayor and Council, this is a proposed residential project of quite significance. The project is titled Magnolia Hills, and it's a planned residential development and tentative subdivision map for a 25-unit common interest residential development. This project is located on South Magnolia, south of Chase Avenue, on about a 10-acre site.
Excuse me. Is there a way to dim the lights in front of the screen? Okay.
I don't think anything happened.
Yeah, nothing happened.
So the project includes 25 new homes, and these homes range in size of 4,000, almost 6,000 square feet, including 2 to 4 car garages. So they would be probably likely the largest homes constructed in El Cajon. They also include a pool and common rec area. 2 private streets would provide access off South Magnolia, and of course the project includes facilities to address stormwater. As just mentioned, the site is almost 10 acres. Currently has 1 private driveway. It's covered in brush and non-native grasses. And there's also, as part of the due diligence, there's found cultural resources on the property, and specifically some Native American artifacts. So here's an aerial image showing you the proximity of the site in relation to the surrounding development. So the Chase Avenue School just to the north. The subdivision that you see in the images being created is the recently completed Magnolia Trails, but done by KB Homes. To the east is the Everly project done by Shea. And then you see the surrounding developments as suburban type single family. And here's a site plan layout and how the applicant proposes to lay out the 25 new single family homes. So for these homes, this is the architecture that's being presented. We think this is, a great addition to the city of El Cajon in terms of design quality. The applicant has done a fantastic job on getting these homes to the point that they will certainly be emblematic for new residential development in the city. So in terms of the zoning code and meeting the local regulations for new development, the plan is in line with the general plan consistency in terms of density for the zones. It meets all the planned residential development standards. It also complies with the Subdivision Map Act as well as our local subdivision ordinance. So in terms of general plan consistency, the proposed rezone portion of this project is to rezone part of the property site to PRD low-low, which is a density range of 0 to 3 units per acre, and PRD low, which is 3 to 10. The overall project density, however, is 2.76, so it's in the very low category. The project also meets all the goals and policies that are designed to improve the appearance of the city as well as provide housing across all income categories, and in this case, certainly above the moderate income. In terms of the California Environmental Quality Act, an initial study of mitigated negative declaration was conducted and identified significant impacts of biological and cultural resources. However, with mitigation as part of the project, those impacts are reduced to a level of insignificance. The initial study of mitigated neg deck was out for public review for a period of 30 days, and the only comments received from California Department of Fish and Game, and those issues have been addressed by the staff as well as the applicant. Part of the project includes a mitigation monitoring reporting program, which ensures that any biological and cultural resources are mitigated, and a certain protocol is followed to ensure that mitigation is complied with. So the Planning Commission heard this project on January 17th and adopted all resolutions to approve the project by majority vote. So their recommendation to City Council is to approve this project, approve the mitigated negative declaration and mitigation monitoring reporting program, approve the rezone, the zone change of the property, also the planned residential development, as well as the map. Staff is available to answer any questions.
Thanks, Tony. Great report. Council, you have any questions of Tony? Bob?
I was wondering when the developer comes forward to let us know what they're going to do on Cajon Drive, Cajon Valley Drive, to make the improvement so that they'll mitigate the dust and whatever, and maybe improve the roadway. So when that time comes, that's going to be my concern.
All right, any questions about the housing? So have there been any complaints from the neighbors? Have we gotten any written formal protesting about the building of this, or?
No formal protests have been made, other than some concerns have been raised. We received a concern today from an adjacent property owner to the east who is concerned about preservation of monuments, markers that indicate where property lines are for their property, and under the Subdivision Map Act, those must remain in place, as well as accepting the waters in terms of drainage, and under California drainage law, this project will have to continue to receive and treat those waters.
Okay, great. All right, do you have any cards on this?
Yes, we do. Would you like to open the public hearing?
Yeah, I'd like to open the public hearing and ask for speaker cards.
The first speaker is Samir Kasim.
Hello, sir. Welcome.
Good evening to you, Mr. Mayor, member of the council. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. I'm so happy to be in El Cajon and invest in El Cajon. El Cajon, it's growing fast and wonderful business here. And if you look for a land now to develop it, it's very hard to find another piece of property. Mr. Mayor, we put this project together in the last 3 years. We are going to have a state of art, really, in this property. I am, all what I tell you, I am very happy to develop this project, and by the end of it, I am sure the city, represented by your owner and the council member, will be proud of it. We're going to do something, signature homes. For the last 3 years, we've been working together with a wonderful staff in the planning department. They led us in a fantastic way, professionally, and worked very close with my team in a way that they really brought this project to what it is right now. So I am so much grateful to you guys and to your staff at the planning department. Thank you very much. Mr. Mayor, my team consists of Larry Walsh, Walsh Engineering, did the civil engineering work. Mr. Nikal Jabi, who did the wonderful architect work. And Recon, Mr. Michael Page. He's been working on this project for more than 8 or 9 years, doing the environmental studies. If you have any question or any concern, I will ask them to answer you. I will answer you, sir. In the meeting of the planning department, my dear neighbors raised the issue of Al Cajon view. We are going to do our best to put all kinds of signs that no left turn at all, and also I will help to put some sign at the end of South Magnolia or Magnolia Street to say this is a private property. At the same time, as I told my neighbor there, I asked them, how much would it cost to do Al Cajon view? The lady told me about $20,000. I told her I'm committed to pay $10,000 to help and kind of maintain Al Cajon view. Although Al Cajon view, I drove it once. It's not been touched for a long time. I hope the city will help. As I understood from the city, it's a private property. And I think maybe KB Homes, maybe Helix Water District, the church, and the neighbors.
Excuse me for 1 second, sir. Could we go ahead and turn off the red light base? Go ahead. Continue, please.
Sorry, sir.
No, it's not your fault. We have a red light, but since the nature of this, I'd like to hear what you have to say.
Thank you, sir. So I am committed to help my neighbor, do my best, as much as I can. That's my word to you and to my neighbor.
Bob, does that answer your question?
I've got another question. What are the price ranges of the houses for the 4,000 to 6,000 square feet?
I honestly cannot project it now until I build the models. As you know, 3 weeks ago, the price per hour for a regular labor, $15, I'm sorry. Today is $25.
Well, what are your estimates of the value of the homes when you sell them?
I must tell you the truth. I am going to do something quality, okay? My neighbor, KB Homes, adjacent neighbor, and she a home from the east. I saw their work. I saw the material they put it, okay? I'm looking for different materials. So in the range, honestly, I think the price of square foot will never cost me less than 110 maybe per square foot. And as you know, the land and there it's a lot of rock and foundation. So whatever the market decide later on, we don't know from now to the end of the year what's going to happen. But what I am promising you, I will do something that the council will be proud of it.
They look nice, like a nice project. I was just wondering what your guesstimate was of the price.
We were guessing before around 750, but it might go another 50 because, I agreed with a plumber company, very big plumber company. They came back to me 2 days ago and they said, sorry, we cannot do it at this price now. Framing, the same thing. We agreed about $8 a square foot. Now they want $10 a square foot. The situation of availability of the laborers, I must tell you the truth. This is my first project here. I'm from the Middle East. I've been here 4 years. Long time ago, I came here. I got my PhD and went home. And my family being here, I have 2 wonderful daughters. They are a physician, son-in-law physician. My other daughter, pre-law school, and I have a son. He finished an international business and working with me. And I am happy and glad to tell you that I have 3 projects right now in Al Cajon and another project in Lemon Grove. Also 13 houses there. And I always ask my best friend, Lyle, okay, to always, if there is an empty land, I'll be glad to go and talk about it. Thank you for your wonderful leadership to the city. The city is known all over, you know, and a great opportunity for any investor to be in our county. Thank you, sir.
Let me see if there's any more questions before you go. Anybody else have a question?
Just a comment. I know Nick and his work, Nick El-Jabi, Wave over there, and he just does phenomenal work. Everything is just what you said and more. So, I mean, I'm pretty comfortable with the renderings, and then this environmental study. Geez.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Really?
I spent $200,000 in cultural resources.
What have you learned? No. And you've been after this project for 8 years? You've been working on this for 8 years?
No, sir. I've been working on it for 3 years. But there was an owner, Mitch McDonald. Mitch McDonald, I think, who applied for this project on 2004. And then he passed away. I bought this project from the family.
Oh, I see.
And for the last 3 years, we've been working together. Appreciate every comment they told me about it. Every move, it was to the benefit of the project and the city to bring something right, nice, and God bless this department.
You're hired.
Good job.
I just want to make a note, I'm sure most people are aware of this, but the offer to help you with your street, which is a very kind offer, that is not part of the approval tonight. It won't be. Can you explain that, Doug?
Yes, it's a voluntary offer. I think it's a very gracious offer by the applicant. I think the property owners up there appreciate it. I know staff appreciates it. It is a private street. The city cannot spend any money on a private street. And the traffic study actually showed very little, if any, traffic from this project on that street. So there's no, what my attorney friend here would say is a nexus. There's no reason to require them to do it. But he heard the testimony from some of the neighbors at the Planning Commission, and he offered this as a good neighbor policy, and I certainly compliment him on doing that.
I am committed to that.
Well, it's very kind of you to do so.
Thank you, sir.
Bob?
Yeah, question of staff. When I lived in the county, we had some non-dedicated streets that were falling apart, and we set up what you call a county service area, and redid the streets, borrowed the money from the county, and then we repaid it over a number of years. That's when I lived in the county. Does the city have anything like this that would work for Cajon Valley Street, to where they could?
The short answer is no, and I have quite a bit of experience with this town next door that was developed with a huge number of poor private streets. It is a difficult path for a city to go down there. You accept a lot of liability. It becomes extremely expensive because before any city would take a street as a public street, we would require the private property owners to bring it to city standards, and no one's going to be able to afford to do that.
Right.
This particular street has just a couple property owners plus a big church,
Yeah.
and the church is actually the one that puts the vast majority of traffic on that street.
Now,
So there is a county process, I understand that. I'm just saying this city hasn't used that, and my experience is it's not impossible. It's very difficult to do in a way that's affordable.
they couldn't do an assessment district.
Well, we could set up that, but there's so few property owners. I'm just saying, I think logically, they probably wouldn't be able to afford to bring it up to city standard in the first place, and then for us to take care of it after that.
Yeah. Well,
It would be a real burden.
Of course.
I think the $20,000 figure that they heard at the Planning Commission would really do a huge improvement to a private street, but that wouldn't even get you close to a public street standard.
I understand.
Yeah.
Sir, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, sir.
And thank you for bringing us such a nice project. It was one of the nicest I've ever seen since I've been involved.
Thank you, sir.
Dr. Sami Jihad.
Dr. Sammy, welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Honorable Council members. Such a great joy to be here in the chamber. One of the best speeches that I give is when they are impromptu. But before I indulge in what I want to say, I want to assure you that Dr. Qasim, is a man of his word. And he forget to mention that he was the chancellor of the Baghdad University in Iraq. So whatever he said here, he meant it. He's a man of honor, dignity, integrity, and self-esteem. I, Dr. Sami Jihad, has been a resident of City of Al Cajon for 30 years now, former planning commissioner. I fully appreciate this project because this city is in dire need of houses. It's been inundated with too many apartments. They stand like a sore in everybody's eyes. When you see a project like this, I was so excited and thrilled. As a matter of fact, I'm buying one of those houses. That's how much I like it. Yeah. So we went through the process, and of course, we had the great support from the planning department, and it's come up to this point, to the point of fruition through his efforts, because he strongly believes in this country and what it stands for, and also has great respect and appreciation of the city of Al Cajon, which I'm very proud of myself. And I want to thank you, and I want to reiterate my position that I'm in full support of this project. God bless America every single day.
Thank you, Dr. Sammy.
Any questions to answer?
Anybody have any questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Lyle Cadell.
Mr. Cadell.
Hello, Council and Mayor. My name is Lyle Cadell. I'm a realtor here in East County, and I wanted to come here to Zora Mitch McDonald that owned this property prior to Mr. Kazem, and Zora being the one that's left. It was her wishes to see Mr. Kazem get this property. A lot of people were very interested in this property, but they felt very comfortable with the gentleman here, Dr. Kazem, to purchase this property because she knew that the wishes of Mr. McDonald were going to get fulfilled. However, a lot better than we were even thinking. I'm really excited about this project being a realtor. I saw a lot of homes here in East County. We're seeing lack of inventory. This is going to be much needed. I've been in El Cajon my whole life, 50 years, right here. So to see this development happen is going to just be amazing to be part of it, and to see someone like Dr. Qasim do this project. We're very thankful to have him out here, and we're in full support of seeing this project as realtors out there, to have something else that we can invite our clients to, something as nice as this. So, are there any questions for me?
Let me see if there's any questions. Sir, I think it looks like we have none, but thank you.
Thank you.
Larry Walsh.
Mr. Walsh.
Mayor, council members, Larry Walsh. I'm the civil engineer, and I'm available for questions.
You know, the main thing I worry about with civil engineering is drainage. And do you expect any problems here?
We looked at that very carefully. We have a infiltration basin at the downstream end of the property to capture and filter all the water and release it at a lower rate than the existing condition.
Any other questions? Thank you, sir. Yeah, Mr. Goebel.
Could you explain the filtration just for me, because I hear this process coming up. Is it a pump? Is it a how does it work?
It's a basin where the engineered soil, 18 inches of engineered soil, is placed in. Basically, sand and grasses will grow. Below that is gravel. So the water will come into the basin, settle out, and the water will filter through the sand and through the gravel before it is. It'll infiltrate into the ground, and there's a perforated pipe in the bottom of the gravel. It's all designed to not only slow the water down and then release clean water, but allow some infiltration back into the ground, because a lot of in the existing condition, it's all natural, so there's a lot of infiltration. And then as we pave streets and roofs and so on, there's less ability to infiltrate water, and so the regional aquifers are getting reduced. So it's a way to help model the natural condition.
Is there a risk of ponding or water building up or anything like that?
Well, they're all designed to drain with 72 hours max. I think ours is probably half that. That's one of the design criteria. You don't want water ponding out there. There's the risk of vectors and mosquitoes and so on. So that's taken into account also from the hydraulics.
Bob?
Recently, we had quite a bit of rain in a short period of time. Would it handle that flow?
Oh, yes. The 100-year storm is also, it's always been part of the criteria.
Yeah.
The stormwater quality filtration design criteria is a more recent, but we've always had the 100-year storm as a design criteria and continue to.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Sure.
Nick Aljabi.
Hello, sir. How are you?
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and council members. Nick Aljabi, I'm the project architect, here to answer any questions if you have any. Just don't want to sound like a broken record, everybody else is saying, but a couple of remarks here. When Dr. Kasim contacted me a couple of years ago looking for an architect for this project, I asked him what kind of project you have in mind. He said, this is a subdivision. I said, that's interesting, because most developers don't hire architects, they go to a designer, cookie cutters. He said, no, I've seen your work, I'm willing to hire you, I'm looking into putting quality homes, City of El Cajon. So we had to start, and with the support of the planning staff at City of El Cajon, we worked extensively and closely to refine and define the character of this project. I believe it's a nice-looking project. Just to clarify, there's only two houses in the 4,500 square feet size plus a garage. None of it is 6,000. If you add the garage, may add up to about 5,100 or 5,200. The remaining 23 homes are in the 3,000 square feet size. So I'm excited to be part of a very good consulting team. You guys probably know Recon and Walsh Engineering. They are top quality consultants. I'm glad I only get to do the fun part of the architecture. I'm available if you have any questions.
Sir, I've been a real estate appraiser for 34 years, and I want to compliment you on an absolutely outstanding design. This would
Thank you, sir.
be a great design anywhere in the county.
Following 4 weeks ago's Planning Commission hearing, Mr. Kasim leaves me a voicemail. Nick, you had your stamp on this project. Actually, it's a very concerted team effort. I'm sure it will be a success.
Do the houses all look very similar, or they use different colors and some different materials to make them stand out from each other?
We can play with it. Currently, we have two different schemes, the earth tone, what we call, and the gray tones. Lorena Cordova, planner, who is not here tonight, she spent hours and nights and weekends working with us, trying to unify and come up with some consistent format and details and vocabulary and character and what have you. So I hope there's still a chance to kind of still play with it a little bit to, obviously they're all different than each other, but when you drive through, her words are, you can tell that you are part of the same project. But yes, they're not cookie cutters at all, and we have some variations in the scale and the details.
That'd be nice. Mr. Coble.
I don't know the elevation, how there's stair steps on a slope. Is it a fairly even slope, or is it a stair step?
The model on the bottom left is on a split level. You can see the garages on a lower level and then the main living area on an upper level. The remaining and I think we have 5 or 6 of those, and then the remaining are on a engineered graded pad.
So my question is leading to, if any one of these houses someday decides to put solar on their roof, would anybody be adversely impacted because of the location of a nearby house?
There's an extensive roof surfaces, and nowadays solar companies are pretty clever in how to come up with the right angle to capture the solar rays or what have you. But I'm not sure if it's mandatory to include solar. The projects out in the county, they make you allocate 250 square feet of roof area to allocate for future solar panels, which are getting more and more efficient. But I don't think that's an issue at all. That's probably something to be encouraged.
I don't think it is, should be a requirement. It's just, I think it's something to at least raise and say if somebody wants to go solar someday.
Correct.
But
And then the roof slopes are in all directions, which provides an opportunity to capture the southern, southeastern, and southwestern sun exposure.
Mr. Mayor and Council, just to confirm that all these houses have enough room between each other so that one's not going to block the other, and they're all two-story as well.
Correct.
So there wouldn't be a two-story next to a one-story where there might be an opportunity to cast shade on somebody's roof.
And they won't shade the KB homes down below them?
Oh, no.
No, sir.
Unless it's a 30 feet, 30 stories, high-rise building.
I'm good. Just
We are far away, excuse me, sir. We are far away from KB homes, on that side here where the empty, okay? KB home, where the empty lot here on the east, okay? Here is the school, exactly. This about 8 acres in front of us, the school. The sun comes from the east, goes all the way to the west, south to the west. So I have studied very well. I have a big piece of land there. You see it empty. And that's if people want to put some kind of solar, they can put it either on the roof or on the empty land there. In front also, we have enough space for solar land. But on our east side is Shia home, KB home, north. School is on this, and from this lot is 1 acre, all the way goes KB homes. There is just a little boundary between us and KB homes. As a matter of fact, we share a well between them and us. But,
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
So if you get the green light, when is the estimated time of?
Can we start Monday if we get the permit?
Yeah, I think so.
It's time.
No, serious question. When do you guys think you guys would start?
I have all my teams put together, okay? As soon as we're going to finish this stage, we're going to go into detail mapping, finish the detail work, and then we get the approval of the grading map. As soon as day first, when we get approval of the grading map, day second, we will start the grading. We have a good team there. It's going to do the grading, and I hope before the end of this year, we will have at least 10 homes ready.
Sounds good.
Yeah, before the end of this year, we'll have at least 10 homes ready. I have put teams in all kind of aspects together. So,
as long as you got Nick with you,
as long as I get the city council, Mr. Mayor, the planning department, and Nick is really, did an excellent job.
Just to clarify one more issue that may be a concern to anybody, Dr. Kasim is financing this project 100%, so there's no lender in the picture. In other words, he will do what it takes to take the project all the way to completion. It's only 25 homes. He's not going to go bankrupt. He's not going to stop. He's not going to worry about the economy. His intentions are to develop nice quality projects as this one.
Any more questions? Thank you, sir. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Tim Jangst.
Hello, sir, welcome.
Hello, Mayor and Council. My name's Tim Jenks. I am the next-door neighbor to the project, and I am here actually in favor of the project. It's a good project. Sam, I have just met him in the last few months. He has helped remove a homeless problem we had there that resulted ultimately in a fire next to the school, and we had real problems. And while I was dealing with Sam on that, Sam kept every timeline that he promised. He's a very responsible person, and I'm looking forward to this project going in, and I just think, in general, it will be good for the entire neighborhood.
Let me see if there's any question of the council. Thank you, sir. Thank you for coming.
Joan Shoemaker.
Hello, Joan. Welcome.
Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Valentine's Day. And thank you all for your public service. We really appreciate it. These are beautiful homes, and I am very grateful for Mr. Samir's offer to fix the road. It's a small portion of road. It's actually owned by Darrell Priest, and it was the old Helix Flume Road. So hopefully Darrell and maybe Helix will also help. It's a small portion just from our property down to Avocado, and even though they say, the stats say that they don't use that road a lot, they do, because they don't pay any attention to the private road sign. If they want to go south on Avocado, they aren't going to turn right and go through 2 traffic lights when they can come right up the hill and go up Avocado. So it's in terrible shape, and so we're just pleased to see that maybe some progress will happen there. And I have all kinds of faith and hope that this will be the project that we see. I mean, because we were coming from 3 big properties to 90 homes. And so it's a big impact. There's only 4 of us up on Cajon View Drive that look down on this property. But this obviously will be the nicest property to develop in this area. And so we're very pleased. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Any questions? Thank you.
I have no further cards for this item.
I'd like to make a motion then to close the public hearing. Second. Please vote.
The motion carries by unanimous vote.
All right, council, it's in your hands. Gary?
It's an outstanding project. I'd like to see 10 more like it in El Cajon.
Yeah, comments? Mr. Goebel?
I guess on the Cajon View Drive issue, the only thing perhaps the city could do, if it's a serious issue, would be to block access to Cajon View Drive from the city portion. Is that even an option? Is that even an interest?
From the city standpoint, the city would not do that. The private property owners, if they're talking about a gated private street, could look into that. City would not.
So if it becomes a traffic issue, the property owners could install a gate perhaps to mitigate traffic. I'm just trying to think of solution, since the city is limited, to at least put some solutions out there if the Cajon View traffic becomes an issue. But I think it's a stellar project.
I think just following the Cajon View Road and that whole thing would be good to keep an eye on it and come back. We'd like to hear feedback, because it seems like he's willing to work, and he seems to be a reasonable gentleman. And I was wondering who he was referring to. He kept on saying the lady. That's the previous mayor. We'd like to obviously follow it and come to a amicable solution for everybody.
Somebody ready to make a motion? Mr. Noble?
I guess we do these one at a time, eh? I will make a motion to adopt the next resolution in order approving the mitigated negative declaration and mitigation monitoring and reporting program.
Second.
Moved and seconded, please vote.
The motion carries by unanimous vote.
Keep going, you did good.
Oh, keep going? All right. I move to introduce the next ordinance in approving zone reclassification number 2315.
Second.
Please vote.
The motion carries by unanimous vote. And at this time, Mr. Mayor, if I may, I'd like to read the title of the ordinance.
Please do.
An ordinance approving zone reclassification number 2315 for the rezoning of property located on the east side of South Magnolia Avenue between West Chase Avenue and Cajon View Drive from the residential single-family 20,000 square foot RS20 and residential single-family 40,000 square feet RS40 Hillside H overlay zone to the planned residential development PRD low and PRD low Hillside overlay zone APNs 493-39106-07-14 and -15 general plan designation low density residential LLR and low density residential LR.
Okay.
The next one is a move to adopt the next resolution in order approving the planned residential development number 72. And move to adopt the next resolution in order approving tentative subdivision map 662.
Second.
Moved and seconded, please vote.
The motion carries by unanimous vote.
Okay. Get started.
That's it. Well, best of luck to all of you. Look forward to seeing these houses. I'm looking forward to an open house so I can go take a look. Sounds great. Thank you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are now adjournment. The adjourned regular joint meeting of the El Cajon City Council, El Cajon Housing Authority, successor agency to the El Cajon Redevelopment Agency, held this 14th day of February 2017, is adjourned until Tuesday, February 28th, 2017 at 3 o'clock p.m.